Hello everyone, and patch 6.3 has been quite good for the game. The Tomb King update, I would say, has really given them a new lease of life. Which I know is ironic. It's not a full-blown rework, rather just an update, but I feel like these updates could actually be very good for all the different types of races and factions that we do have in Total War Warhammer. So in this video I want to go over each of the races and see if they could benefit from this directly, or if they need a full-blown rework / DLC. Because not every race needs a full rework. But before anything, a big thank you to our sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is a platform where you'll be able to buy games at discounted rates. Want to pick up something new, but also want it discounted? Well, this is the best place to go. You can pick up titles such as Dawn of War Definitive Edition for 37% off. Or maybe you want stuff like Snake Eater. Yes, that's re-releasing. Obviously being remade, but with a Digital Deluxe Edition and Early Access. This is with a very, very good discount. Instant Gaming offers discounts on new and old titles right from the bat with some pretty damn good deals. Not only that, but we do have our monthly giveaway going on. Win the game of your choice. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below and sign up. You don't even have to make a purchase. Alongside that, if you make a purchase using one of my special links, you support the channel at no extra cost to you. This is a company that I've been working with now for over a year. I really like working with them because I use their services. I'm tempted to buy Snake Eater myself once my pay comes in and I've dealt with all the moving stuff, because as you guys are aware, I am moving very, very soon. But once again, a big thank you to Instant Gaming for the sponsor. Now let's return to our regularly scheduled programming. Just a quick heads up here with an edit. Yes, the patch was delayed by a week, but the beta is up and running. There was a problem with AMD drivers and just a few different things, so they've decided to delay a week so they can actually fix it up rather than release a broken patch, which is a rather good thing. Hopefully it gets solved very quickly, because I do know a lot of people want to play right now, and AMD seems quite popular lately. Okay, we're going to jump in with the Beastmen, and we're going to go race by race. Keep in mind that the mouse cursor might be a little bit off, because apparently this reset my settings to the stream version, which, yeah, for some reason is just a bit off. Now, the Beastmen are fine. They don't really need anything in terms of a rework. I feel like their rework that came in really just made them amazing. What I would argue is some extra stuff for some of the legendary lords would be great. Morga the Shadowgave should have access to all the 4 God-touched Chaos Spawn. He is the Chaos Spawn faction, and right now we're just using the generics. It feels kind of boring, and he should really just have them. When it comes to Khazrak, I feel he'll get something when Boris Todbringer eventually gets his day, or I eventually die of old age, whichever comes first. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged mechanic, but it would be nice if the Beastmen just got a little bit of a touch-up to allow for them to have something special between all the lords. Because right now, Taurox is the most unique one. I don't know if we'll get any other Beastmen legendary lords, but it would be nice if everyone kind of had a reason to play the others. I'd argue that Bretonnia is in a pretty good spot. Sure, they've had 2 reworks, and, well, 2.5, considering that there was a broken launch when it came to the second one. The only thing I'd say is missing from Bretonnia to kind of feel great would be the fact that they need a crusade mechanic, an actual crusade mechanic, and kind of just reworking the Green Knight to be a legendary hero. In a perfect world, we'd get some DLC with the Brigands and stuff, or another Bretonnian character. I know a lot of people want Boromon Beastslayer, and I do think we'll get him eventually, especially as an FLC, because they seem to be jumping on that. But if there was no rework coming up, or no DLC coming up for Bretonnia, all they really need is a proper crusade mechanic. It's really weird that their identity is kind of lost. Sure, you kind of get that in a sense with the Troths and the Vow system, but it still doesn't really feel the part. Tech tree could be touched up ever so slightly, but other than that, I feel like they're in a pretty good spot. Yes, they're not the most interesting race for anyone to play, but it's just how they are. It's how they've always been, and it's how they are again in the old world. Chaos Dwarfs are perfectly fine. I'd argue that if all the races just kind of played like the Chaos Dwarfs, not like the same way, but you know, if they had that level of polish, then the game would be perfect. Obviously, it's very hard to find that level of polish for every single race, but yeah, there's just a level here which there's a reason why they are one of the best race packs. I don't think they need an update. I wouldn't mind another legendary lord in the Chaos Siege Giants, but that's pretty much it. Daniel's kind of fine. I know I like to shit on him a lot, but he's pretty unique. I don't think he needs any updates and stuff. In fact, he just gets constant new content with every Chaos DLC, and we know that more and more Chaos DLC is on the way. My only thing is I'd like more items. Brave Assembly had introduced a bunch of Tzeentch items for that Intel promo thing, and the other Chaos Gods have been forgotten about. So, yeah, it just feels kind of weird, right? I don't think a normal update is just going to save the Dark Elves. I believe that they need a full-blown rework and also a DLC if possible, just to kind of add some extra missing flavor. Some legendary characters would be lovely. The problem with the Dark Elves is they've had a lot of attention. In Warhammer 2, they actually had a lot of attention, but they kind of stagnated. Same thing with a lot of races in Warhammer 2, because the attention just went to the Skaven. Their buildings could be touched up a little bit. Technology needs to be reworked. It's very, very important there. Morathi kind of needs to be touched up properly. Hey, just to get some actual Slaanesh formatting there. Because, I mean, you can get Demonettes, but it looks like they were trying to go with a whole Storm of Chaos style with Morathi, and then nothing was really done, barring Demonettes. That's just kind of boring. There needs to be some Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh, there needs to be some other stuff there. She should have access to the lore of Slaanesh to make her really, really unique. But the Dark Elves just don't feel great at the moment. The slave mechanic is interesting. Obviously it nerfs a lot of their money, but it does mean that stuff gets done quicker. The only problem is that's just literally a copy-paste of the Slaanesh mechanic, and it's like, well, there is nothing really too unique here, barring like the battle thing, and a lot of people just forget that's there. Well, it's automatic anyway, so yeah, Dark Elves need a little bit of love. Dwarves are fine. Thrones of Decay actually really made the Dwarves super enjoyable. There's been a few touches here and there, and they did have to have a 0.5 rework also, but I don't feel like they need anything else. Really, the only thing I want from the Dwarves in the future is a update to Belagar. That's just the whole thing of just actually making the 8 Peaks mechanic fun. And I wouldn't say no to another Legendary Lord. Yes, I know this isn't about Legendary Lords and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of weird that Bugman hasn't been added in. He's very, very famous. He's really popular. Hell, Games Workshop still have a bar named after him. It just feels strange. Same thing as the Empire. Hell, every Legendary Lord is unique and has their own mechanics, so really, I don't think anything else is needed in terms of updates and stuff. They'll get another DLC in the future. We know Boris is eventually going to come, eventually. But, yeah. Hell, I'd say that the Empire are one of those examples of a perfect race, just like the Chaos Dwarfs. They've got everything to make them really fun and replayable, where new content getting added in is just a bonus. So, yeah, they're in a pretty good spot. Cathay just needs content. It's really strange that one of the large factions for Warhammer 3, one of the flagship ones, isn't really getting a lot. Sure, Kislev is in that same boat, but at least they've got like a really stylized rework. I think what needs to be done here is obviously Monkey King, Yin Yin, Li Dao, all the usual stuff. What I would ask for is something like unique for Zhao Ming, because right now he shares the same base mechanic as his sister Miao Yin, and what happens there is like he just kind of feels like he's ignored. But all in all, Cathay is enjoyable. I like playing as Cathay. I don't think there's a lot of people that just don't like him. Greenskins are finish. They've just even got a bunch of new skills to kind of fix up some of the Lord and Hero options in 6.3, which is really nice. Again, Scarsnake needs something alongside Belagar and Queek for a 8 Peaks mechanic. I wouldn't mind if there was something to Grimgor and Azak. Well, Azak is fine, I guess, because of the helm. But Grimgor needs something unique. Something minor, but, something to really make him the biggest and the baddest orc. I very much doubt that there's going to be another DLC for the Greenskins, which is a bit of a shame, because I feel like there's still so much missing, even some unique stuff. But, yeah, fixes here would just be great. Very quickly here, I'm going to omit High Elves, Norska, and Slaanesh, because they are due to get something in Tides of Torment. We have to wait and see what's going to happen there. So, really, there's no point really talking about them. Hopefully it's good. I'm looking forward to the Slaanesh stuff. Takala is a character I've been waiting for a long, long time. It's very likely that we're going to get the mask also. Don't think they even confirmed it just yet. And, well, Norska is getting a Kurgan tribe, which is weird. High Elves we're going to find out about soon. Hopefully. Khorne is technically fine now. Omens of Destruction did really help them out. I would say, however, that Skarbrand was completely ignored, which is on theme, Khorne doesn't really give a shit about Skarbrand. He just lets him do his thing. However, Gameplay-wise, I do feel like Skarbrand being in a very weird position where he is, where all the settlements are kind of spread out quite dramatically. Really, if he could just have a take on the Taurox mechanic, you know, the whole rampage system, that would work incredibly well for Skarbrand and actually give him something quite unique. No more teleporting mechanics, we already have 2 Khorne characters that can do that. Let's just have something physical and rampagey. Kislev is fine, no notes. Really, the update that they had a small while back brought Kislev into what everyone kind of expected them to be. So now everyone's pretty happy, myself included. In fact, I was playing a Kislev campaign relatively recently. I would like some Ungols and stuff, but I don't know, man. I think at this point, I don't think they're going to get any more DLC, and I don't think they're going to get any more updates. I feel like they're done, which is weird, right? But hey, if they get nothing more now, they'll be in a pretty good spot and people will be able to enjoy it without seeing all the glaring issues that Kislev has had for about, 2 years, a little bit more now? Lizardmen have just gotten an update in 6.3. They do feel a lot better now, to the point that I actually consider them fairly playable and not just for achievement farming. There's a few things that still need to be done, like the geomantic web and a few other things. I do feel like they will get a DLC in the future, so they can probably get a rework situation. If they do, it'd be nice just to get a unique mechanic for Mazdamundi, for Krokkar. Gorok could do with something a little bit, and then Tic-Tac-Toe, who really should have been a legendary hero. There still needs to be more here. There still needs to be more. They've said it. They said that they were not going to touch the geomantic web for 6.3, and I feel like most of the attention actually went to the Tomb Kings here. It's something that I guess they found a little bit of extra budget and decided, okay, let's do Lizardmen at the same time. Hell, we didn't even get a unique new unit here. We just got actual reskins with the blessed stuff. I'm not knocking them, though. Keep that in mind. They are fairly decent blessed units. I honestly do think that we'll get another Lizardmen DLC in the future, which is going to take us up to, what, 8 legendary lords? But it kind of makes sense, you know? There's a lot of stuff from previous editions that they could do. It's easy money. So I would imagine that a full rework would come later down the line. Well, it wouldn't even have to be a full rework. At this point, it's just a half one, because most of the clear issues were taken in 6.3, which is really, really good. The technology tree is fantastic now. Nurgle's fine. The rework in Thrones of Decay was fantastic, and to be honest, like, they feel really, really good. All 3 legendary lords are fairly unique in their own rights. They've got their own stuff going on, and we're very likely to see another legendary lord, maybe even 2, actually. I'd say 1, but, you know, in a perfect world, 2 in a possible End Times DLC. So, yeah, they feel great. I think they're the most fleshed out when it comes to the Chaos factions at the moment, so, yeah. Same thing as Ogres, they're fine. The Omens of Destruction DLC kind of just like fixed them all up. They all have their own unique stuff too, which is really, really good. This is what I want from like reworks and updates and stuff. Just like give them something unique for each of the legendary lords, then fix up the race also, because that's quite important, and just have a different reason to play. I have a reason to play all 3 different types of Ogres, even Demonetization Maneater. That's what I want for every race, to be honest. Skaven are fine, they don't need a rework. They've gotten so much attention throughout the lifespan of Warhammer 2. In fact, I think a lot of Warhammer 2 races suffered because of the inclusion of the Skaven. It's very obvious that we're going to get another DLC for the Skaven later during Warhammer 3, because Thankful's still missing, and a bunch of end time stuff, which we know end time stuff is now possible. What's still missing, however, and yes, this is my excuse to once every 3 months say it, Skrulk is missing plagues. God damn it. Please, if anyone from Creative Assembly is listening, you can do it. Like, they have plagues right now, but it's not the plague mechanic that is introduced in Warhammer 3, and that would actually make it a lot better. There could be a whole proper update around Clan Pestilence, and there could be an amazing one at that, if they decided to go back into the earlier times, because there was an edition, well, not an edition, but there was an army list focused around Clan Pestilence, which would be really, really cool. I'm not asking for Pontifexes and so on, although, you know, that would be really nice. It's just, please, they're a major clan, and they still kind of feel like a shitty, minor clan. I'm going to keep harping about this a long time until it gets done. Queek could do with something. Again, this is a big patch that we need, focusing around the 8 peaks mechanic, and something for Tzeentch would be nice. Considering that Tzeentch is from Clan Rictus, right? He's very good at ambushing, but the clan itself is supposed to be well known for storm vermin. There needs to be a bit more of an incentive to use that, have proper upgrades there for like a unique type of storm vermin where it's just literally an upgrade, right? It doesn't have to be a new unit, but think of it like the scrap mechanic for the Greenskins, but just for storm vermin troops. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, and did I mention Plagues for Skrulk? Did I? Yeah, just putting a reminder out there. Tomb Kings were the ones that inspired this video, and to be honest, they're fine. They're perfect, actually. So, yeah, I think they'll get a little bit more content when it comes to Nagash's eventual release. I do feel like they are missing a legendary hero. But in terms mechanically and just quality of life of the race and so on, they're great. They're great. 6.3 really did make things better for them. Alright, Tzeentch. So Tzeentch is in a pretty weird spot because, one, they're still missing another legendary lord because, you know, VIKRAM is somewhere. There's a lot of weird things about it because they had an update too which made them quite good. It was mostly just for Kairos, and even then it was for Kairos, not his faction, but Kairos. His faction got a little bit better, but Tzeentch still kind of feels lacking, and it's really, really odd. It does feel like Creative Assembly needs to look at Tzeentch again just to kind of fix some stuff up, add a little bit more flavor to this race. Alongside, it would be really, really nice, and I've said this in many, many videos, and I've suggested it many, many times. When you play as the Changeling, you should be able to pick your starting theatre. This will give you another reason to actually play the Changeling more than once. He's got a very unique campaign, but once you start him, it's the same kind of method, right? It just feels boring. The Vampire Coast could literally get the same treatment as the Tomb Kings did. They don't need a full-fledged rework. What they do need is just sprucing up. And I think that's the best thing possible. I think this is why I'm kind of feeling quite optimistic about the Tomb Kings, because we know that we can just have patches just to spruce up a faction. Vampire Coast could do with a little bit of a rejig when it comes to certain buildings. Like, there is no point whatsoever for the Depth Guard with polearms to be a tier 5 unit. It's rather ridiculous. The tech tree could be updated a little bit, and then just some extra skills, and you're kind of golden there. Their economy is great. There just needs to be a little bit of balance for certain units and so on, and that's it. It's not too bad. They're pretty good as they stand, but they're on that same level as the Tomb Kings. Well, pre-6.3 Tomb Kings, which is still very, very, very high. And I feel like that could just make these guys shoot up even further. A 6.3 style update is not going to fix the vampire counts. We do know that we are getting vampire count DLC pretty much at some point. I don't know exactly when, but we do know that Neferata has been hinted. That's always going to be kind of cool, because I know a lot of people are quite excited about her. We've had a rework for the vampires before. It aged out very, very quickly in Warhammer 2. There needs to be a proper change. We need to start seeing some actual unique stuff, or like Vlad being able to use the Empire mechanic of, you know, states and so on. That would be kind of interesting. A lot of work needs to go for the vampires. I don't think that could be done with just the Neferata DLC, though. It does depend on how big the Neferata DLC is going to be, but we do know that she is being placed in a singular thing. It's a new, smaller format. That's all we know so far. I still very much believe, regardless of how cool she's going to be or whatever, Vampire Counts should have had some sort of actual, like, Champions of Chaos style DLC. Something big budget, add in a bunch of legendary lords, fix up the race quite dramatically, because they have fallen behind constantly. Who knows what happens? Maybe I'm proven wrong, and I'm hoping I'm proven wrong, but a big rework is going to be needed. It's not an update. An update will not fix the core issues of this race. Warriors of Chaos are perfect. I know some people would say otherwise, but the warband system is cool. Really, the only thing that's actually just needed is just adding some more Dark Fortresses and a Vassal rework just to kind of make Vassals useful, because you do end up with quite a lot of them and they do nothing. I'm hoping that's going to be in the Tzeentch fix. You know, there's a DLC with Tzeentch, they use a lot of Vassals also. Here's hoping it's just that. If it solves that, they're going to be in a perfect spot. One thing I would further add is it would be kind of cool is, and this kind of fits with the Mono Gods also, the Mono God specific mortals for both the Warriors of Chaos and the Mono Gods, if they could be able to choose. So this would be if you play as Azazel, if you could choose being a Warriors of Chaos faction or a Sinesh Monogod faction. If you play as Tamukan, you can play as a Nurgle faction, so proper Nurgle Monogod, or you could choose to play as Warriors of Chaos. I don't know if the engine would allow something like that though. There's mods to switch. Well, it's just like a switch. But I'm saying rather than a switch, I'm saying a actual choice. Could be cool. It'd give you a reason to play the character a second time, essentially, or fourth or fifth, depending, because if they're your favourites, you're going to be playing them more. It would just be kind of nice to see that happening. And then lastly, the Wood Elves, which to me are fine. Look, I know a lot of people find them boring, but that's just how they are. They're isolationist, they don't really do much. I would say maybe another Legendary Warlord would be cool. It's one of those things where I do think that character packs would be kind of useful here. Yeah, there's not really a lot of missing units. If they want to do sub-races, they could easily end up making like the Elves from Lorelorn Forest, but I could imagine that could cause some problems because there'd need to be a lot of reskin units and just different mechanics, because technically they're not Wood Elves, they're like a half and half between Wood Elves and High Elves. I feel like another character would be nice, that's the main thing. Other than that, they're in a pretty good spot. Their campaign is boring, yes, it's End-Turn Simulator, but they are very lore-friendly. I'm not going to knock it. It's not my race, but I know some people do like the Wood Elves quite well, and they feel in a pretty good spot. But yeah, these are just some thoughts. 6.3 kind of inspired me there, and I feel pretty good about it. It's a pretty good patch. Hopefully it won't be too long until everyone can play around with it. It sucks that there was an issue, but hey, these things do happen. But yeah, these are my thoughts. Some of them just need a little fix, and that's it. It's just a 6.3 style update rather than a full-blown rework or a DLC. The great thing is this game is evolving and we're getting a lot more fixes. We were basically told not to expect another Kislev level rework in a patch before. That's going to have to be done during DLC time. I'm imagining it's because they get a lot more budget. Good thing is a lot of races don't need a Kislev level rework. And I think that's a really, really good thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's have a little bit of a discussion regarding that. And I'll be live later today on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges, depending on when this video comes out, because it's taking a while to get sorted and I've got some like work matters to sort out. But I really want to test out the Lizardmen properly on stream. I think that'll be kind of fun. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.